So yeah, can you give us a brief background story? Where are you from? What did you study? Where have you worked in the past? Where are you working now?
So I come to study abroad in Melbourne. I was originally from Guizhou, southern part of China. I have my bachelor degree in Beijing for 4 years. And then after graduated, I studying the master degree of information technology at the University of Melbourne. It's called Master of IT. So after 2 years, I graduated and I joined the startup as a data engineer. And after working a few months, I started another job also as a social developer in data engineering in another bigger company in Australia, REA Group. That's where I'm currently employed as a lead data engineer. Our platform is mainly for advertising, housing, rental, or sale listings.
And had you studied it back in China, or was this like something you did after moving to Australia?
It was interesting. I had 2 degrees back in China. One is telecommunication and another is economics. I learned quite a lot and had fun, but I ended up studying IT because I want to start that as my job in the future. So I started to plan. But because I learned some basic programming in the telecommunication engineer degree, I wasn't totally enjoying that, to be honest, back to China. But I'm maybe not bad at it either. So why not give it a try? Maybe it's easier to find a job in Australia. So I study from the beginning, find a degree that suits me to get the basics of computer science. And then back to them, I'd have 2 options. If I go study master of computer science or software engineer, it requires 3 years at least. But if I pick the master of IT, it only requires 2 years. And that's exactly what I want. And it had 3 basic courses for computer science area, and just to satisfy all my requirements. That's why I chose this one as my major.
Interesting. And is there a reason you chose Australia specifically?
Not really. So I grew up in the countryside. I really like natural landscape and animals. And Australia is not that far from China either.
So you already knew you wanted to pursue a career in IT, or is that something you figured out while you were studying IT?
Yeah, I think back to when I was still in uni, there was a trend that it was easier to land a job in IT. So that's why I picked this major. But I wasn't sure because there was too many different branches, different division in IT. So like you have data engineer, you have software, and software you have front end, back end. I didn't know exactly what I was interested in. So I wanted a degree that can enable me to explore more broadly.
So it was after you found a job and started working that you started specializing in data?
My interest started with a selective course during the master degree. It was data warehousing. I taught you how to design data warehouse schema and how to do ETL, which is extract the data and load to the data warehouse. Then I went to talk with the lecturer, see if this is something that I can dive into more. And it turns out it's called data engineering, right, or data analytics. So I started to research to learn a bit more. I had my first internship in uni. It was a data engineering research project in uni. And after finishing that, I volunteered for a nonprofit startup and said, I can work for you for free. I just want to get some experience. What I can do for you. And he said, yeah, we need you to help us to migrate the database. I said, sure, I can do that. Yeah, I volunteered for them for 2 months during the last semester, but it was very small. They do not have any IT person. So there was no one there to teach me, mentor me. But that internship gave me some confidence to socialize with the locals and get into see how they work. I think this is very important, just to see the culture and see if I really like stay here as a long-term plan.
So I guess as an international student, when you're doing internships, it's not just about seeing if you like the company. It's also, do you like working with the people in this country? How did you find it working with Australians?
It's quite different. I would say like everyone is really chatty. They like small talks.
I see. Did you encounter any difficulties finding internships as an international student?
So I didn't really see advertisement from any platform and apply. What I did was I heard from my friend about their company And I went to their website and find their email, and then I just sent a cold email. Maybe it's purely luck. I would guess that trying a different way would be no harm. Sometimes if you get something, it's probably 99% luck, and you have to try the different ways to find that luck.
Can you tell me about the different ways you found that luck?
Internship, I think it's easy to find because you just want experience. You can work for free. Probably any organization if they need help, especially in startup.
So when you were searching for full-time jobs, can I ask how many jobs you applied to?
My first paid full-time job was a startup. It was not the one that I did. The data migration was not a startup. After I graduated, I applied for this job and I got the interview. Went to the office. We had I think 2 hours interview, and then I got in. After I got that first job offer, I didn't look for other opportunity. I just wanted to start as soon as possible so I don't waste too much time and I can get enough experience to apply for the permanent residence.
Got it. So the startup was your first full-time job, and then you switched to REA Group?
That's right. During COVID, I think that was 2.5 years ago.
And that's amazing that you just applied to REA Group and then you got it.
Oh, REA Group, I think the interview was really stressful at that time. There are 5 rounds. First, the phone interview, and then you have to do code assessment, take a home, and then they assess it. The outcome was good, and they will say, okay, we want to do pairing programming with you to see how your technical communication was. And then after that, it was a technical interview, and after that, it was a culture interview. I was really nervous. So I signed up with the Udemy account.
And did the Udemy course help?
Yeah, in their take-home assignment, they ask for test-driven development. So I need to learn how to write the test to automate the testing. I have no experience writing that at all. So I have to learn something from online and then do the assignment after.
Interesting. So I guess when they give you a take-home assignment, they know that you can get external help.
Yeah, there are a lot better. Yeah, that's why it's a take-home assignment. But the next round, you have to do 1 hour online real-time programming with the 2 senior software engineer.
Okay. And you complete like a programming task together?
Yes. So it will be based on your previous assignments, and they're going to extend the question, also the challenge. Based on that, we want to add some additional feature. How would you approach that? They want to see your thinking and how you approach a problem and how you walk others through your solution to make sure they understand.
Oh, okay. So it's more like they're asking you to explain your thought process and seeing if you can like communicate and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you will actually code on the screen. You share your screen and they will see. And in our day-to-day job, we use pairing programming. So that's also a way to test how they collaborate together, if they are a suitable future colleague to work with, how they are on the technical communication, and how good they are the coding. Because after that interview, they will assess your level, the junior, associate, or mid-level, or senior level.
So what do you think got you past this third round?
The feedback I got back then was I didn't look like someone who had lots of experience with programming, but I seemed to be a very good candidate to communicate with, and I was good at problem solving. So I walked them through my thinking process of how I want to extend my code first. And when they asked a question, I was very responsive. And I can immediately communicate what my thought was. And if there's anything I want to clarify, I will point that out immediately. And we will ask an open-ended question to test my knowledge of some general programming knowledge as well. So I think they see some potential in this candidate, some room for growing in the future. So that's why at the end of the 5-round interview, they offered me an associate level role, and then I got in.
And how long did that whole process take?
Oh, it was super quick. It was like 3 days.
So 3 days from the time you applied, or 3 days from the time you had your first round interview?
First round interview, I couldn't remember exactly how long after I applied for the job. But since I got the first call and then it was immediately arranged the second round, and then the third round and fourth and fifth were actually conducted in one day in a row. So it was 3 hours in one afternoon with 6 different people.
Wow, they seem very like a very organized company.
Yeah, we do. I think one thing I kept also saying to all my peers, like, I really like this company's culture. We do it with heart, and it has really good knowledge sharing and very helpful team culture. And everybody seems to really enjoy working here. In the interview process, you can see the recruiters are really friendly, and at the end of each round of interview, they will give you feedback, and not just for the sake of explain why you didn't pass. Even if you failed, they want to provide you insight or useful information for you to look at if you apply for other jobs.
Even after your first round?
Yeah, they will call you back and say what the result is, what you did well, and that can be improved. Actually, after I entered this company, I participated in some interview as well as a role of interviewer. So after the interview, they will ask the interviewers feedback, and then the recruiter, the hiring manager, will collect this feedback and organize a feedback meeting with the candidate and share with them.
Wow. And what do you think is your best piece of advice for anyone trying to pass the applications and interviews at REA?
I think be prepared. If you're not confident in your coding skill, then lots of preparation. Check the company culture. It's not just REA. Every company will check that you believe and align with core culture values, and also prepare for the question to demonstrate that your experience also align with those cultural values.
Can I ask about your favorite and least favorite parts of working at REA?
I think the culture part is really great. You can reach out to any person you don't know on Slack and ask for help. Sometimes if you ask them a question in a channel that is open, a public channel, someone will just reach out to you, say, do you need help? I got some experience with that I can share with you. So people are really nice and helpful. One thing I least prefer, maybe problem with each big company, we do lots of restructure. The restructure will normally bring some people change or line of business change. So people have to be resilient enough to deal with all the dynamics.
Interesting. So how many rounds of restructuring have you experienced?
So I joined 2.5 years now, and I switched 3 teams, at least 5 restructure. It was not always company-wide. Sometimes it was, okay, your team has to be moved to another line of business because it's a company strategy. Yeah, something like that.
Interesting. So how many promotions have you experienced? What's the career track like? You start out as an associate, and then what happens after that?
Yeah, so I joined REA as a social developer, then promote to mid level, and then senior level, and then to lead. That is normally the step that you need to take. Yeah.
What's the biggest difference from when you started out as a grad, so when you were an associate developer, to now what you do as a lead engineer?
There will be expectation from the upper management to the different type of role. The expectation for an associate is definitely grow and learn as much as you can, and you are not expected to finish a piece of work independently. You may seek guidance and help from the other senior around you. That's totally fine. Lead dev is more, well, dealing with lots of ambiguity. I see more high level things, what's going on, and you didn't get to see too much details in your day-to-day business. I guess that's the difference, I guess, in one word, because the difference is how you tackle the ambiguity. There will be least ambiguity for the day-to-day work for an associate, but will be lots of ambiguity in my daily job now. And also that also will have the people management responsibility, have a leadership role now. stakeholder management, project management, and also you need to know the architecture side of things to provide the tech leadership to the team if they are blocked, and also have a technical challenge and the decision to make. You need to be there to involve everybody to discussion and guide the decision to be made.
And what was the most surprising thing about this job when you started?
I joined the company during COVID. I guess the surprising thing is you got to work from home, and I only saw all of my colleagues after a year, but they are surprisingly nice. The first day I joined the Zoom call, their background has changed to welcome. And even though I joined remotely, I feel the connection immediately.
And can you tell me about your learning and development opportunities?
Yeah, sure. We do have a lot of training and learning provided in the company. There's a certain group of people, they running and host the program to make sure that people are learning. I think for me, 70% I learned from job by pairing and shadowing the other senior members around me. They were very technical and very experienced and nice people. I learned a lot from them, just to see them how they deal with daily stuff. Shadowing is like when you onboard, they will assign you an onboarding buddy. So they will help you to set up your laptop, set up the tools. And if you have a question, that will be your point of contact to reach out to. I think this is very helpful when you join the company. And pairing is you can ask for another person to collaborate with you on this piece of work. And then you'll code together. That's pairing programming. We also follow agile practice. So there will be lots of forum for the team to sharing their work and to invite others to comment on it. I guess it's really helpful.
Are you able to share about performance reviews and stuff like that? Like how do you get a promotion and how are you evaluated and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. So it's quite transparent. We do twice in a year, so mid-year and end of the year. And normally at the beginning of the year, everybody will set up your commitments, goals that you want to achieve. And then in the mid-year review and final year review, you look at your commitments, how many you have achieved. The promotion isn't necessarily related to your performance. It can be anytime. It could be when your people need to assess that you have been mature enough to step into a higher level. I guess it depends on how you and your people leader want to track your progress and do some gap analysis on your capability and align expectation. If you want to step into a more senior role, what are their expectations and what is yours? And where do you see yourself currently at? And where do they see you at now? Just align expectation and have a plan together for your self-development and identify some opportunity to develop.
I see. And by people leader, is this HR or is this direct manager?
Direct manager.
Yeah. Okay, and last question. Can you tell me about your visa situation? Did REA sponsor you? What was it like going from like student visa to like your current visa status?
Yeah, sure. So I firstly got the graduate 2 years visa. So that means you only got 2 years working period, and after that it expired. So after I joined REA, there was a period of time that my visa was about to be expired, and my application for the permanent residence is still in progress. So I reached out to my people leader, my manager, and he asked the management chain to grant the permission that I can get the sponsorship from the company. So they sponsored me. It's a 3-year temporary skill shortage visa. And back at that time, I already applied for 189, but it was not granted yet. But right after I got the sponsorship visa, after 3 months, I got the PR.
That's so awesome.